You are not procrastinating because you are lazy. You are procrastinating because something inside you is trying to protect you. Think about this for a second. How many times have you opened your phone just to check something quickly? And suddenly, minutes turned into hours. The task is still there, waiting, getting heavier. And deep down, you feel it. That quiet pressure, that silent guilt. It is not a lack of time. It is not a lack of discipline. It is something much deeper. Your mind is not broken. It is working exactly as it was designed. It is avoiding discomfort, avoiding uncertainty, avoiding the possibility of failure. And the more important the task is, the stronger that resistance becomes. So you delay. You escape. You tell yourself you will start later. But later keeps moving. And your focus slowly disappears. Here is what most people never realize. Procrastination is not about managing time. It is about managing emotions. And if you do not understand what is really happening inside you, no productivity trick will ever fix it. The invisible diagnosis. You think you are avoiding the task, but that is not true. You are avoiding the feeling the task creates in you. Pay attention to this. Every time you delay something important, there is a hidden emotion attached to it. It might be fear of failing, fear of not being good enough, fear of starting and realizing it is harder than you expected. Your brain reads that emotional discomfort as a threat. And what does it do when it detects a threat? It protects you. It redirects your attention. It pulls you towards something easier, faster, more rewarding in the short term. Your phone, social media, anything that gives you instant relief. And in that moment, it works. You feel better, lighter, safe. But there is a cost. Because every time you escape, your brain learns something dangerous. It learns that avoiding the task removes the discomfort, and that turns procrastination into a habit, not a choice. This is why discipline alone feels impossible sometimes. You are not fighting laziness. You are fighting a protection system that thinks it is helping you. So let me ask you something. What exactly are you trying not to feel when you avoid what matters? Because until you see that clearly, you will keep running in circles. The self-sabotage loop. Now you will see the pattern that has been controlling your behavior without you noticing. It starts very simple. A task appears, something important, something that moves your life forward. At the same time, a subtle discomfort shows up. It is not always loud. Sometimes it is just a slight tension, a small resistance, a quiet voice saying this might be difficult. And right there, the decision happens. Instead of facing that discomfort, you shift your attention. You open another tab. You check your phone. You tell yourself you will start in a few minutes. In that moment, something powerful happens. The discomfort disappears. You feel relief, and your brain pays attention to that. It connects two things: avoiding the task and feeling better. That connection is what turns a single delay into a repeated behavior. Then comes the second part of the loop. Time passes. The task is still there, but now it feels heavier. More pressure, more urgency. And with that pressure comes a new emotion: guilt. So now you are stuck between two forces: the discomfort of starting and the guilt of not starting. And the easiest way out seems the same as before: escape again. This is how the loop reinforces itself. Avoidance creates relief. Relief reinforces avoidance. And each cycle makes the next one stronger. This is not random. It is conditioning. And if you do not break this loop at the right moment, it will keep running on autopilot. The illusion of motivation. You have been taught to wait until you feel ready. To wait for motivation, for energy, for the right moment. That is exactly what keeps you stuck. Motivation feels powerful, but it is unstable. It depends on mood, environment, sleep, stress. It comes and goes without warning. So when you rely on it, you create a dangerous condition. You only act when you feel like acting. And most of the time, when a task matters, you will not feel like doing it. Here is the shift that changes everything. Action does not come from motivation. Motivation comes from action. When you start, even in a small way, your brain begins to adapt. The resistance decreases, the discomfort fades, and something unexpected appears. Momentum. But if you keep waiting to feel ready, you never give your brain the chance to create that momentum. This is why people stay stuck for months, even years, not because they cannot act, but because they are waiting for a feeling that only comes after they act. So the real question is not how to feel motivated. The real question is how to move before you feel ready. The turning point. Right now, you do not need more discipline. You need a different way to start. Because the biggest mistake is thinking you have to do everything at once. That pressure is exactly what creates resistance. So here is the shift. You are not going to focus on finishing the task. You are going to focus on starting in the smallest possible way. Choose something so small that your mind cannot reject it. Open the document. Write 1 sentence. Study for 2 minutes. Just 2. But there is one condition. You do it with full awareness. No distractions. No rushing. Just you and the action. At the same time, do something most people avoid. Name what you are feeling before you start. Say it clearly in your mind. I am avoiding this because I feel uncertain, or because I am afraid it will not be good enough. When you name the emotion, you reduce its power. It stops being something vague and starts being something you can face. Now something important happens. The task is no longer the enemy. The emotion was. And once that emotion is seen, starting becomes lighter, more possible. This is the turning point. Not forcing yourself, but lowering the barrier and facing what is underneath. And once you start, even for a moment, you will feel a shift that most people never reach. The micro-commitment. Now it is time to move from understanding to action. Forget everything complex. You only need one decision. Choose one task you have been avoiding. Not 5, not a list, just one. And here is the rule. You are going to do it for 2 minutes, nothing more. No pressure to finish, no expectation to do it perfectly. Just 2 minutes of real focus. This works because your brain does not resist small actions. It resists effort, uncertainty, and long commitments. But 2 minutes feels safe. It feels manageable. So you begin, and something subtle happens. Once you start, the resistance that felt so strong begins to dissolve. You are already inside the task. The hardest part is gone. Now you have a choice. You can stop after 2 minutes and still win, because you proved you can start. Or you can continue, because now it feels easier than before. This is how you break inertia, not by forcing intensity, but by creating movement. And movement changes everything. Because the moment you act, you stop being the person who avoids, and you become the person who starts. The simple philosophy. What is stopping you is not the size of the task. It is the habit of escaping yourself. Every time you avoid something important, you are not just delaying an action. You are reinforcing a version of yourself that hesitates, that doubts, that steps back. And this does not happen in big moments. It happens in small, almost invisible decisions. The moment you choose distraction instead of focus. The moment you choose comfort instead of progress. That is where your life direction is shaped. Because discipline is not about doing more. It is about stopping the pattern of running away. When you sit down and start, even for a few minutes, you are not just working on a task. You are changing your relationship with yourself. You are proving that you can face discomfort without escaping. that you can move forward even when it feels uncertain. And that changes something deeper. Because confidence is not built by thinking about action. It is built by acting despite resistance. So the real shift is simple. Stop negotiating with the voice that tells you to wait. Start, even when it feels uncomfortable. The final impact. At this point, you already understand what is happening. You are not stuck because you lack ability. You are stuck because you have been following a pattern. And patterns only change when a decision interrupts them. Right now, you are at that moment. You can leave this video, go back to the same distractions, and repeat the same cycle. Or you can do something different. Something simple, but decisive. Choose one task. Start for 2 minutes. Face the discomfort instead of escaping it. That is it. Because change does not begin with a perfect plan. It begins with a single act that breaks the old pattern. And once you do that, something shifts. You stop being controlled by hesitation. You stop waiting for the right feeling. You become someone who moves, even when it is uncomfortable. The problem was never time. It was never motivation. It was the moment you chose not to start. Now you see it clearly. So the only question left is this. What are you going to do right after this ends? The closing shift. This is where everything becomes real. You do not need another strategy. You do not need more information. You need a decision that turns into action. Right after this ends, there will be a small window, a moment where you can either move or fall back into the same pattern. And most people lose right there. Not because they cannot act, but because they hesitate for just a few seconds too long. So do not give yourself time to think. Stand up. Open what you have been avoiding. Start for 2 minutes. No negotiation. No delay. Because this is not about the task anymore. It is about who you become when you act. Every time you start, you reinforce a new identity. Someone who faces discomfort. Someone who moves forward. And that identity is built in silence. In small decisions no one sees. This is how focus returns. This is how momentum is created. This is how your life changes direction. Not someday, not when you feel ready, now.